area.
successes. Yeah. Welcome everybody to tonight's INE Network broadcast. My name is Luke Jensen, and I'm the moderator. I've kind of lit the fire under the webinars for the last 8 years. We've been going at this for a long time. We've been a network since 1983. We represent a lot of wannabes who are amateurs trying to help a person gradually grow from an amateur to the master of something. So you're welcome to sit in if you're over on YouTube or on my Google Plus account and participate with us in the film strip. In the green room, I've got all of my pals, people that I've been friends with for a long time, who are all artists and all trying to make a living with their talent. It's quite challenging for a creative person to do well in the marketplace. It seems like it takes just about all our effort to make things, but then when it comes to marketing those things, we tend to get the cart before the horse. And often the marketing is of us, the artist. We get this all backwards. We think that it's all the marketing of the stuff, when it's reality, it's who makes the stuff that makes this spin. And there's two different segments in the marketplace. There's things that people need, and there's things that people want. And if you got it mistakenly decided that it's the same as all needs, you're making a huge mistake, because it's just not. It's needs and wants. So appreciate your participation tonight. I want to start off with Mel. Has some exciting news. And I'd like to have him take Mike for a second and tell everybody what just happened, Mike. Or Mike. Mel.
Yeah, I'll say it on the mic. How's that?
Mike on the Mel. Mel on the mic.
Mel, Mike. Anyways, in February, as you know, I submitted a bracelet that I made and engraved to the Veterans Creative Arts Competition and Art Show in February at my local VA hospital, and I won a first place. Well, from there, with that first place win, we had to send a digital picture in digital form to the national to be juried in. And from what I understand after reading the rules, they only juried in 3 people out of each category, the top 3, in the national show. So now I got a call today that my bracelet was accepted to go to the next step of the national show, which is the competition between those 3 pieces, mine and 2 others in this category.
That's a big round of applause. Yeah.
And if mine wins the first place gold medal for that category, it gets displayed at the Veterans Creative Arts Competition and Festival in October down at UNC Chapel Hill for their art show. And the VA sends me down there to, I guess, get the medal and all that good stuff.
Cool.
So let's keep our fingers crossed.
Oh, yeah. And how can it be any better than that, right?
Yeah, it's kind of cool being in the top 3.
And it was the only one from your region that was even submitted, right?
Well, of all the first place winners from the regional show that were submitted to go into the national, mine was the only one chosen to advance.
There you go. We all know, and we wish well for you. We all know how it's going to end up, Mel. You're going to do it. We're going to clear to the moon with this one. How cool is that? I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's just a little piece of hand-formed and hand-engraved stainless steel.
Yeah, just an ordinary just a little bauble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aren't they Wonder Woman bracelets?
Almost.
Almost. Absolutely. All right. Well, that's awfully good news. I was pleased as hell to hear that today. That's going to be really fun for you, Mel.
Oh, so was I.
I don't know what happened to Jay. Is anybody?
Jay's got sketchy connectivity where he's at. He's out in the middle.
Connections tonight.
He's out in
Why
the
don't
middle
you
of the field.
tell him, Mel, what happened for Jay last weekend too. You know the story.
Yeah, I talked to Jay earlier this week, and this last weekend he was at a motorcycle rally that he'd actually spent over a week at. The week before, he'd made a profit, and since the next rally was going to be a 4-day rally at the same campground, he just stayed. So, with that in mind, the next rally came along, and Jay profited over $1,000 that weekend. The first time he broke that number.
And was he cranked when he called me? Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. I had to peel him off the ceiling to talk to him.
Yeah, he was just about as wound up as he could possibly be. And could it not happen to a better guy, Jay? If you're within earshot here and realize what's being bragged about you, my boy, you've earned it. You really have come a million miles in the last 2 years.
Well, his bandwidth isn't all that strong right now. He's sitting at another rally down in southeast Oklahoma in the middle of a field, and, well,
yeah.
He's on, he's off. He's on, he's off.
We got to wait till Google gets these balloons going all over the place with Wi-Fi, and then we'll have her made, won't we?
And not only that, I saw they had some tornado warnings for different parts of Oklahoma.
Yeah, the weather in the Midwest is just exotic. It's bad here right now, too.
Oklahoma, Nebraska.
Midwest, just hide and duck. Well, congratulations to both of you. Appreciate your participation, but also your willingness to share and support each other. I think lifting as we go is still the best part of everything we do. You find a like-minded bunch that you can get along with and that you like what they're doing, and they're going to climb the same mountain of success that you're after. Not much better than that. Not much.
Yep. Well, when my bracelet wins the first place, it'll be a feather in all of our caps.
All our caps, yep. We're going to be able to help a lot of veterans when that time comes along.
I think so.
That is for sure. All right, let's get started with tonight's show. There's a lot to cover. This is the third show in this series, and kind of the last one of this whole set that I've normally done over the years. And I got to do the paid political announcement for Tam. She's off on her annual Jeep trip with her brothers, and so she's in southern Utah Jeeping and playing around in the wild weather. I don't know if she's able to get on or not, but have fun, Tamarie, wherever you are. And we'll keep the fire burning here at home. Profitable Hobbies has been around for over 35 years. We've had the exact same 800 number for over 30 years. We work with hobbies into enough of a business to help offset the expense of retiring and growing old. It's just about the slickest way there is to retire. And we started with power carving, which is the high-speed air turbine, the power pen that I invented in the clear back in the late 80s and developed in the 90s and 2000s. And then we have micro sandblasting processes. We also teach airbrushing courses. It went from Paragrave to begin with to Paragraphics to Profitable Hobbies on the web. So I encourage you, if you're brand new, jump over on ProfitableHobbies.com and go see what the company has to offer. I have a very important point I want to prove tonight. First thing, I'm going to run through some slides pretty quickly. And what I want you to do is watch for which slide you remember. I've done this same series now. This is the third time. But I want you to see if you can see as I go through this. I'm not going to talk. I want you to see if you remember any given slide a little more than others. Okay? And when I go through these 55 slides, what we're trying to do is have you see, I remember that, I remember that, I remember that, I remember that. I think you will remember most of them visually. But was there one slide that caught your attention? So let's crank this up and go through it. This is what I presented in the first two shows. Okay. What I think is really significant is most human beings are highly visual. I would bet you could remember those sequences of pictures because they're in your brain somewhere. You've now gone through that series of slides 3 times. But out of those 55 slides, there should have been something in there that was more appealing than something else. And so when you try and figure out what it is that you prefer, then you start to realize, let's just close my program. I hope I'm not losing you guys. Mel, are you still there?
We're still here.
Yeah, we're still here.
Okay, I just got a signal that said I was overloading my computer. The thing that happens is the idea I've talked about since January and for year after year after year is like-minded relationships are how things are traded in the world. If they like what you do and who you are, the odds go way up that they'll actually do business with you. You're not just laying out something like a side of beef with a price tag on it like the need world. Wants are not peddled in the marketplace the same way that needs are. And so when you separate those two and begin to realize the whole thing here is to figure out yourself more. What kind of things do people who are interested in what you're doing, are they interested in similar kinds of things? And they either will be or they won't. It's the funniest thing. There really doesn't seem to be any middle ground. And from the beginning of the company and Profitable Hobbies direction and going down through these 35 years, what we've tried to do is build programs that teach you not only how to do it, but also begin to try and help you market your efforts as well. So our packages are a little more involved than just selling you a tool and kicking you down the road. This is a What You Ought to Do series. I've done webinars now for 8 years. I like to be fire starter in people's lives, and I'm pretty good at coming up with new ideas. And I like to put phrases together. So when I came up with What You Ought to Do, I've had this in my life for years and years. Now it's hashtag What You Ought to Do. And it's kind of fun to see that begin to mature into my own life. And it really is a whole new world when you start seeing how it works in the marketplace differently. Then you really increase the odds of your success. If you basically think you know how a business works and you're just doing it off the seat of your pants, the odds are you're not going to do nearly as well as if you begin to learn how to market what it is you're playing with. Okay? Once we started in this direction, we moved into profitable hobbies because of the internet. And it's the kind of thing where when we can help people begin to learn who we are and what we're doing as an organization and as a circle, then these webinar series really start to have some impact on the idea of making it a business and making it succeed. I've done 37 shows in a row now, and I'm not sure how it impacts individually. Those of you that have participated with me often over the years, you know most of my pitch, you know most of the songs, you know most of the quotes and the impressions and the way I present things, but what it's done is hone that for me. It's helped me zero in on what I think it's all about. And when you're having a good time doing what you enjoy doing, it doesn't get any better than this. In all of business, the customer is king, because without a customer, you have no business. Without a repeat customer, you don't have much of a business. And so when we begin to discover, develop, master, and learn to share your talent in these 7 individual steps, you've got a much, much, much better chance of actually succeeding at something. So the 7-step master's course, when someone starts to become an apprentice, and I really put you kind of under my wing, I like to get it to a point where I can nudge you somewhat and have you actually go do what we're talking about. Instead of this constant maybe attitude, maybe I'll do it, maybe I'll get good at it, maybe I'll figure out what business relationships are all about, but most of the time we're not willing to make the effort to actually pull our lives or our product into this particular category. This is Mary Hogue, and Mary has sold 2 of her pieces to the Smithsonian. She's on permanent display in the National Botanical Gardens, and she does a lot of Native American flavored kind of artwork, almost all gourds. But my gosh, is this woman a designer. She comes up with the most incredible looks, and it's just so fun to watch how she and her husband have been making this work. He does her web development and her marketing for her, and she just keeps every stone. She leaves no stone unturned. And when you're the kind of person that will keep stirring the pot, then your customers are going to show up more and more and more as time goes on. You just can't ignore it. It's like, I want to eat and I want something warm, but I don't want to build a fire, or I don't want to tend the fire, or I'm not somebody else do all the cooking, but I want warm food 3 times a day. That's just not how this works. Somebody has to be stirring the pot all the time. Now, out of everything that I try to share, this one is the slide that means the most to me individually. Because every time I have these aha moments when I finally see that I'm not doing what I kind of thought I was doing, and I get a better vision, a better view of who I really am and what I need to change and how can I improve, things change. It's like parting the Red Sea. You can't change the wind. That's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Nobody that I know of can make this part work. What you can do is adjust your individual sales. The second I ran into this quote, it just began to change my whole life, because I knew it was me that had to make the adjustments. And when we can do more than we think we can, we have to really begin to understand what happens and how things work is the wind that's blowing, okay? When I first started doing webinars, I did the first 3 seasons, and I just kind of set them up, and I did them the same way all 3 seasons. I just almost went against all odds, and I wasn't very good at listening, and I got into it and tried to just hammer things through 3 individual summers. But when summer comes, what happens? If you're not familiar with how the economy really works and the wind that's blowing, and you don't know whether to put up your sails or pull them down or kind of how to navigate or manage, I can't do any presenting in the summer. It doesn't work. And the reason is the whole damn world goes to play. And I thought I knew better. I really did. I just didn't see it till it took me 3 years. Television shows all turn off. The magazines all turn off. The trade shows all turn off. The entire economy starts out and waits for the fall. So these are presentation business vehicles. These are publishers like we are, okay? Now, I'm really curious to watch how things go with Google Plus through the summer, because I haven't been paying attention to that. But this year, I'm going to really look at it carefully. Good business judgment is when you can stack the deck in your favor. Go with the odds. Learn to go with the wind that's blowing, okay? If you got the odds on your side, then the odds are you're going to do well. If you don't have a clue what you're doing, the odds are you're not going to do well, okay? And too many people live their whole life by just sitting here rubbing the pot, hoping some damn genie will pop out of there and give you 3 wishes. And I'm going, that's lousy for doing business. And worse still is when you're trying to get a round peg through a square hole, or a square peg through a round hole. Better judgment means that you've got to literally learn what's going on so that you understand why people buy the way they buy. When a well-off upscale person, I have talked upscale since January. And if you've not realized that you've got to target a higher range kind of customer in order to do a better job of your engraving or your business, you're really, really, really going to struggle. When I first started Soulworthy, I've never built a building like this in my life. And I spent all winter doing the plans, and then I started in the spring, and I began to frame this silly thing up, and oh my good Lord, was it crazy. I don't know anything that I was doing. So I would have to go ask every time. I'd get caught about this and this and that, trying to figure out how do I make it level, how do I make it strong enough, what do you do to put these uprights. I went and bought these custom-made posts, or the big posts that went all the way around the outside perimeter. This is a 1,000-square-foot studio, and it was just basically the funnest thing I've ever done in my life. But even to the portable tables, I do a lot of filming, I do a lot of engraving, so I made some special cabinets and tables to put all over inside so that I could set up my carving and engraving and have my sandblasting where I want. And this is basically an outdoor porch. I can lift all the portals up all the way around the outside and just play till my frickin' heart's content. But in most of my life and business, I have had a tendency, I'm going to underline a tendency, to shortcut things. I'm always trying to get too much done, and it tends to get Lou Jensen in trouble. And so this idea of how do you manage, what should I do in order to have it work out well, is the concepts that just demand that we play with it more carefully. You just, if you keep doing the shortcut thing, it's gonna give you trouble in the end. I can guarantee it. It just never ceases to fail. And it's really, really fun when you start to gain some skills. The less you know, the more money and time it will take. And if it's just good enough, then it never will be good enough. You just can't make business work from the hip. It is just, it's one of the riskiest things in all of life. Only 3 people out of 100 have an ongoing enterprise. So it's not that it's the easiest thing in the world. But out of those that have succeeded, when I've started with Keith Holm years ago, was our first master in our program, and I've watched Craig and Al and Darwin and Greg and Bill and Joe and Marilyn and Mel and Joni and Tamara and Brian and Ron. Everyone who succeeded all go to these extra lengths, folks. They're the kinds of people that put way more into it than anyone else realizes. And when I can see that happening and realize that what I want is some really nice tables in my new studio, then what I've got to do is really make some effort. I had a really good friend after I'd just gotten them done, came and he says, Lou, he says, been watching you put this studio up. You've really put your heart and soul into this, haven't you? And I just said, oh, nothing could have pleased me more, because it really was what I've been trying to do for the last 5 years straight is expand my own personal brand. I'm now moving in next year as my 70th year. And I'm trying to expand my personal brand and finish these last 10 years with what I started 40 years ago. I wrote my life story out when I was 22. And it has unfolded so closely to the story I wrote as a young man. It's just a little bit spooky. And if you can sense at all that what you're doing and where you're going is a very personal crusade, it's okay to have a dream. It's okay to learn how to take it and make it work. You dream up Soulworthy, you want a killer studio, then zero in on that task. Start to look for ways to actually pull it off. Don't just put up with or just tolerate things as they are, which is what I think 90% of humanity just puts up with everything. And I don't have time for that. I'm working on big dreams now. Big dreams. This is my last major 10-year effort, and I am going to knock it completely out of the park. For most of my life, I've had people say, you don't have what it takes, son. Or you're not smart enough to ever be a dentist, or you should quit. You shouldn't quit your dental practice. This was the big one. I not only got halfway through the career, now I started talking about leaving, and my good Lord, the world thought I had lost my ever-loving marbles. But I've made transitions one after another, trying to shift my life into the better position all the time and all the way. And most don't. Most just put up with their bad circumstances. Put up with it, put up with it, put up with it. Who in the world would pay money for such an eggshell? I remember that moment. The first time this came up, when someone said, my God, those are expensive. Who in the world's going to buy an eggshell, much less pay that much money for it? And what if I had quit? What if I had quit right then?
You never would have met us.
I would not have met all of you guys, would I? So, even though I was told the high-speed drill would never fly, guess what it has done? And I live for when someone tells me I can't do it. It is just absolutely the thing that motivates me the most, is to tell me I can't do it. And when I really work on and now moving into a position where I can finally really do something fantastic, it's taken me all these 60 years to get to this 70 years now. And I love the fact that I can sit here and look in terms of that I will accomplish what I'm going after, rather than I don't have to keep struggling with what I can't. I want to build a cable television media network around the INE, Inspiration and Encouragement Network, and Our Journey Television. And I really am trying to put everything in place. I got a call today on Jacob's Collection, and that $40 million worth of artwork is moving closer and closer and closer to the INE network. And I'm one excited boy. I just barely talked to Jack because I was driving home to do the show tonight. And it seems like it's going to come together. I don't know quite when, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to pull it off. If you can look at yourself as this one, not these, okay? How do you really feel about yourself? God, most people spend their whole lives trying to fit in and be ordinary, belong, when in reality, this is you. This is a good thing. Separate yourself from the crowd somehow. And when you begin to build it in that kind of direction, you start to realize how many people are interested in a hobby. The third leading use of the internet. God, it's just growing like wildfire. And if you had your lifestyle surrounded by what you most enjoy doing, it doesn't ever feel like work. It's like heaven. You literally get to be yourself. Smart, creative, and experienced. Get good counsel, excuse me. The idea that you're authentic and unique and different, you're patient, helpful, responsible, consistent, available, visible, exciting, focused. These are some really good traits, some really great characteristics to try and pull into this part of your life where now you're giving back. Most of us have had quite long lives. What we're trying to do now is literally change that. Literally get to a position where we can give back and contribute to the world in the future. I want you to look at these because I've talked about every one of them. These were at one time very ordinary individuals, each one of them. Very individual, ordinary people, except they didn't. They got on a track and they went in a direction that allowed them to then become a teacher, a trainer, a coach. Once you've done something with this part of your life, then you've got something to package and something to talk about. And I think you should be looking at that direction with your own life tonight. You're at a point in your life now where the best thing you could do would be to light fires in other people's lives other than your own. Your own's doing okay. You're at a point now where your life, most of you, and I don't think anybody's in jail tonight. So move in the direction of packaging and sharing and promoting more of what your own individual thinking really is, okay? What you think life and living is all about. When you see someone that's already climbed, it keeps warning me that my memory and my computer's low, so I hope I don't run out. Am I still here, Mel?
Yeah, but turn your phone on just in case.
Oh, okay. It's on. It's sitting right here. Oprah Winfrey's built hers, and I think what you do is say, well, if someone else has been successful, then maybe I should be as well. Look at that, not say, wow, she's done it and I can't. What's she done? How did she make it work? How did Martha make it work? Begin to build your brand and then just don't ever, ever back off. It may not be multi-million-dollar deals like Glenn Beck and Martha Stewart and Oprah Winfrey, but I guarantee you, if you're building it in a direction and you're building a database underneath yourself, you're going to be really pleased when you get to this point. Louise Hay had a really rough time in her life, really rough time. And then she went out and built the Wisdom Community, Dreams, Discoveries, and Wisdom. One of the largest marketers of dreams and discoveries and wisdom in the world now. And when you can see what she's accomplished and realize How she got her start was right here. Okay? Experience your own good now. I mean, all it takes is to something that has an impact for you personally, and things that helped you change and helped you progress are the things you should start to gather and consider doing for yourself. Okay? And if we keep together and we keep working, we're literally going to transform people's lives. We're going to prove that there's a process to this. It is not something that is done easily, but there's a process. There's a step-by-step process. I call it my ordinary miracle because it starts out as ordinary and silly as just getting a Google Plus account, for crying out loud, and then wrestle with it a little bit every day till you figure it out. Don't just say, I can't do this. Somebody's doing it. 500 million people are doing it, so can't you? If you keep after it, you keep making it work, it isn't an accident. It's where you keep progressing with the odds, and the odds don't matter when the dream is strong enough. You listen to those whispers. When they keep telling you and telling you and tell you what you ought to do, then for hell's sakes, turn it into a dream and build a fire under it, okay? It isn't that big a deal once you get a sense that you've got an opportunity by the tail here. Once you know there's a surprise inside, most of us, this is thing, after years and years of getting a surprise out of Cracker Jack, don't you still look? They're always silly, and they're always almost zero value, but they're cute, they're clever, they're different. And that's the thing I think we need to look for, each of us. This page for you, Mr. Ron Schneeberger, tonight. You are the featured member of the network, our master in Florida, that I want to have you realize maybe something that's happened. I put this page up, and I've been showing this page now for 5 years. Do you see what's that title right there? Ron?
I see it.
Do you see what you're playing with, of what you figured out how to do? And I'll bet you this has been working on you without you even, none of us are realizing it. Okay? I was playing from the direction of discovering, mastering, sharing the talent. Yours is now got a whole new focus, a whole new energy. But aren't the books that I just showed you from all these success stories, where are they? Right there. Aren't those almost similar?
Yes.
Very, very, very similar. Except this one's got Scott's name on it. This one's got Julia's name on it. This is Dr. Phil and Dr. Wayne. This is the coolest thing when you begin to see that you're a part of this whole picture. Then all of a sudden you have something really strong to contribute. I'm going to make a little wager, guys, right now, that in the next little while you're going to see Ron Schneeberger stand up on this same stage, because Ron is that kind of a person. He will take the time, he will invest in you, he will help you, he will share what he knows how to share. Now he's putting it into a format that he can actually then start to trade and start to sell what he's learned how to do. Extremely proud of you, Ron Schneeberger. You just have come a million miles this last while. And you're the person that I've written this for. I wrote this in 1997. It's relatively easy to surprise someone who doesn't know us, but it's really fun to surprise those who know you well. They generally don't think you can do it. But the great surprise is when we end up surprising ourselves. It is without a doubt the neatest thing to look back over. The phone calls I've had this week are just absolutely staggering. I know that Diane is on tonight and she's listening in. We tried to get her on this afternoon and she's struggling with her connections, but I've heard her in the background, so I think she's on. Diane Ham has been legally blind for as long as I've known her. And I got a call this week, and she's had surgery on her eyes, and she can see 20/60. Her eyes were 2600, and now she can see 20/60. And as I talked with Diane, and we've become such good friends over such a long time, can you imagine how hard her engraving has been? Her carving and her artwork's what she'd rather do than eat, practically. But she had so much trouble, and such a struggle. And to all of a sudden to be able to read, to be able to see, to be able to manage, that poor girl has had to have someone else take her everywhere she's gone for all these years. When I met with her in Boston, just could not believe what a dynamic, wonderful human being Diane is and what she's struggled with. But the secret of it all is to overcome. It really, if I don't do anything more than help people realize that a degree of planning and preparing is the difference here. If you get up every morning and you kind of know where you're going, you got a shot at actually accomplishing something. But if you never make a plan, you never put it into place, and you get up every morning and just face whatever comes into your life, then all you'll do is exist. All you'll do is just survive. Okay? So, as I take the summer off now, I've got a lot going on, guys, and I've got some really important projects to nudge and push forward. And so I'm going to step out of the shows for the summer and come back in my September mode when I started this company 30 years ago, 35 years ago. And I want you to realize that no one can work on your individual brand but you. No one. You begin to figure out who you are and what you trade in the marketplace and what do you have that you can share is what you've learned how to do. And when others come along and just whisper to you, say, you know what you ought to do is this or this or this, those are those whispers. I think they come from all eternity. I think it's the very thing that everybody overlooks is that you ask for help and it will come. It will show up. The way of how can I do this? How can I do that? How can I get to these more upscale? I had 2 phone calls from my 2 top friends and patrons today, and they're billionaires, both of them. They got, God, they're wealthy. But what they want is these custom personalized things that I've been doing now for years. The thank you business is about as good a business as there is on the planet. And once you begin to realize that's what you're really trading, you're trading a relationship building mechanism of custom personalized products, whatever that may be. From sandblasting to engraving to airbrushing, it's all custom personalization for the more well-off crowd. And that is our company. Well, my little computer is still telling me it is time. It's just really struggling tonight. I don't know what I've done here. Maybe I'll just, let's see, stop. There we go. Screen share. I think I got her back. Guess what? I didn't kill it this time.
No, you need to do a little maintenance on your computer, though.
On my computer. Well, they tell you when you do Hangouts to shut it off and reboot it and kill the cookies. And sometimes I do that, and sometimes I forget. But my poor little computers. Every computer I got is so freaking full. Even my phone.
Now, whose fault is that?
Nobody. Mr. Nobody's fault.
It took me.
I hate maintenance. I hate maintenance.
Elena asked where Soulworthy is located now.
Soulworthy's sitting in Vernal right now, just waiting for me to move it out here to Utah Valley. I built it, got it all done, and then I made it so I could tear it down and move it out here. So it's just parked out there next to where my parents live. We're selling my folks' property as a commercial complex, and so when that sells, then I'll break the studio down and bring it out here. The complex I've wanted to build my whole life is called Siratrova. I want to have my home, my studio, a little museum, training center, everything all together, and call it Siratrova, which is Italian for search within. And as soon as the ground sells, then I'm going to Italy for a year. I'm going to go learn to carve stone and play.
You should be starting it now.
Hmm?
Playing with your stone now.
Oh, I already am. No, I already am. In fact, Jay sent me some just killer alabaster. If any of you need alabaster, Jay has a really good source of it. Utah alabaster is great, but it's hard to find. Nobody's going out and harvesting it anymore. But alabaster with that drill is just like a breeze. What I want to do is I'm going to carve eyes. I'm going to change how eyes in sculpture are done, because if you look at every sculpture you look at, the eyes are all really poor. They're blank, they're dull, there's not much there, except in all of painting and art, eyes are the thing. But they've never been able to do a decent job with the old tools. And so I'm going to let the Italians teach me how to do it the old way first, and then I'm going to show them. And that ought to be really fun. So, out of all that I presented in those slides, this first 55 slides, were there any one of them that you noticed again? There should have been. There should have been one or two that popped you again.
Most of them.
Yeah, I noticed the one on taxes.
Okay.
Once I saw it, I couldn't get the others out of my head.
I couldn't get it out of your head. It's the difference between pre-tax income and after-tax income is the whole game, isn't it, Rob?
Yeah.
That's fun. Lance?
Well, the one that caught me, and it really caught me when I saw it, I think it was last week initially, was that picture of Gary Price with a couple of people, and behind him was the I&E Network logo, basically. But I had no idea that it was that big.
Well, he's got all different sizes.
Because I saw that and I went, my God, that's huge.
It's the first time you've seen it that big, but it was.
Yeah, it was just, I wish I could see the whole thing with him next to it.
That's the National Sculpture Show, and so it's a big deal. Gary's trying to launch right now the biggest effort of his life also. He's building or trying to build the Statue of Responsibility on the West Coast. So the Statue of Liberty is on the East Coast, the Statue of Responsibility will be on the West Coast, and they'll be the bookends of freedom. That's what he's trying to sell. And he needs a gazillion dollars. He needs $300 million to make it work. And so we're all going to go help him. We're going to find some way to see if we can't nudge that. He just did a 15-foot dedication of it a couple of weeks ago here in Utah Valley. He had Stephen Covey was his chairman of the foundation, but when Stephen got killed, that just plowed that whole deal. And it's so hard to talk to Gary because he's such a good sculptor already, and he's had tremendous success. But now he's taken on a task that's just gigantic. This is the biggest thing he's ever tackled in his life. Also, but isn't that true for every one of us? Every one of you should make this summer your preparing time for the season. For us, our marketing season is generally from September through the following June. Now, it's a little different for some business formats. What Jay Richardson's playing with, the motorcycle industry, and automotive engraving and anything like that has this 4 or 5 month period through the summer, and it's just awesome. But your business will have a season to it. It will have a period of time when it's very effective. And you've got to learn to play with the wind that's blowing. You just can't keep making up to yourself that you're the wind. It just does not work. We have to do the adjusting. And that's what makes business work or makes business fail. So through this summer, what I'd like to do is we'll still get together and do some webinars, but I'm going to have each of you take a shot at doing your own webinar. By fall, I would like each of you to have had a chance to conduct and present a show. We had a lot of fun. Ron and I were talking about this just the other day. He was helping Joni put pictures up on Google Plus, and she was struggling, and so Ron was pretty patient with it, wasn't he, Johnny? Do you think you got it figured out now, dear?
Pretty much so.
Yeah. So now what do you do?
There's so much to still learn, but
Well, a lot more, right?
uh-huh.
Can we see a lot more of Joni Beck on Google Plus now?
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the best part about that whole social site. You can screw things up all you want, and it's free. So just as a matter of learning what to do, and I think Ron told you, the more you do of it, then you can remember.
Yeah.
If you do a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, it never seems to work.
Well, he made me promise I'd put up something once every day.
Every day.
One every
Okay? You want to make that challenge to everybody, Ron?
He's muted. There he goes.
Yeah, that would. If we put something up every day, doesn't matter what it is, but the network will get known a whole lot faster and better.
And +1 everyone else. And
Yeah,
reshare. How often do you reshare?
I reshare. Yeah, I reshare if it's something that I reshare stuff that strikes my fancy. You know, I don't reshare
If
everything.
you like it. Yeah, if you like it.
But but most of the time, if I see something, you know, that catches my eye, you know, I'll at least +1 it. If I don't reshare it, it'll get a +1 from me, which helps everybody anyway. But you know, or make a comment, yeah.
Yeah, 1 or 2 a day, and then +1, and then make a comment, and every time you make a comment, then put their name in the comment somewhere with a plus and their name. And Google will automatically show you Ron's smiling, wonderful profile. And then all you got to do is click on Ron's profile, and it will fill it into the comment and let Ron know. But all of that helps our visibility tremendously. That back and forth mixture, and then putting their name in the comment with the pluses, plus mark.
Have you been putting in a hashtag for INE Network somewhere, Doc?
Yeah, on occasion. I put hashtags in when I can remember.
Yeah, I was just thinking if we all did that with our,
on occasion, yeah, on occasion. If you remember to plus tag hashtag INE Network, that won't hurt at all.
Is there a certain way you'd like to have it written? You know, you should do it a couple times so we can see it, so we all do it the same way.
Yeah, I think it's just the INE and then network. So I'll put it up a time or two to give you an idea of what I think it most ought. It's got to be short and sweet.
Yeah.
You can't write a whole inspiration and encouragement thing out. That's not going to be very effective.
No.
But I'll give you a little secret of something I'm going after right now. It's, I got to meet the president and CEO of Krause Publication. And Krause is the largest hobby publisher in the world.
Still broadcasting.
There, is everybody on? There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
If you're going to be telling trade secrets.
No. I know this isn't that big a secret, but I'm going after Krause to try and pull them into what we're doing here. I got to meet the CEO, and he said, I'd like to see what you've got with the opportunity intersection and everything. So I'm going to try and arrange that this summer to get up there and visit with those guys. F&W Publishing in Ohio bought them, just bought them out. And that whole Krause Publication started, guy wrote a book about coins, how to collect coins, and they have 750 titles now. Huge, huge, huge enterprise. But they don't have what we're playing with. And the passion prescription of something that's so fun to do that becomes a hobby, and then you push it far enough to turn it into a business, to me, is the secret of growing old. I just don't know anything that's more fun. I found today some bottles of hand-packaged honey from Italy. It's just, oh my God, it was just, when they looked like that wine bottle sitting back there, only they're the most elegant little bottles I've ever seen. And I don't know how much honey was in there, but it couldn't have been too awful much. And they were $25 a bottle. And I asked her, I says, are you selling a lot of these bottles? And she says, oh, am I ever? She says, we're just selling like crazy. And I said, well, I can custom engrave those bottles for you. And she just went berserk. It just almost doesn't, if you know what you're looking for, it's just opportunity all over the place. When I went down to visit with Disney and the Disney Institute, where they teach you how to do a hobby and teach you how to draw or teach you how to do cooking or teach you how to do photography, all these great hobbies. And they had a gift shop in the main hotel there, like they always do. And they had a bottle of a black, beautiful bottle, like that wine bottle back there, but it was of cooking oil, really exotic cooking oils. And they had the bottle blank sitting like that right there. And then right next to it, they had the exact same bottle with the Mickey Mouse sandblasted on it. And Disney World sandblasted on it. And this bottle, the regular bottle, was like $14.95, and the Disney bottle was $65. I took them both up to the cashier and I said, these are the exact same bottles, and this one is 15 and this is 65. I says, how? She says, I don't know. And I says, which one do you sell? She says, we don't sell any of the $15 ones. We sell all of the $65 bottles. And every time I run into that and I think, oh, we're playing with a great little niche here, gang. We really have something unusual to develop and turn it into a good little successful little business, and then just do better and better and better and better at it. So my wish is you'll have a really great summer. Get something done. Keep nudging your skills, and we'll get together as often as we possibly can. I appreciate your participation 1,000%. And it feels time for me, for the I&E Network, to really get some wings under it now. So I look forward to having your help, and we'll go right on into the future of that. Anybody got any comments or questions before I shut her down?
Yes, are you saying this is the last broadcast for you?
The last formal show for me, yeah. We'll put them up and let you know, Joni, what's coming.
Okay,
then each of them can individually do a show, and we'll let you know when they're happening, and we'll try and do them Wednesday or Thursday night. I think we ought to take just whatever night's more convenient for whoever's going to play with the show that night. By this fall, each of you should begin to look at where you're going to have your own hangout. Especially those like Ron and Mel and Lance. You guys are quite a ways into this now. Nick, you really ought to be thinking about having. I know you do, Mel.
Well, Ron, right there with me.
All right. All right. Well, appreciate all of you, and encourage you as much as I possibly can to dig in even more. Now's a great time to prove to the world that you can do more than anyone else thought you could do. But the real ace here is when you surprise yourself. You suddenly begin to go, oh my hell, look at what I can accomplish. And we're all hoping, Mel, you win the whole damn thing here. When's the judging?
June and July.
June and July.
Yeah, they do their own.
Pull your mic out of your ear.
Will that help?
There you go. Yeah.
He doesn't have it all figured out, does he, Ed?
Jeez.
That's all right.
Talking into his ear again.
Yeah. Speak into this little tube right here.
Uh-huh. I got your tube. Anyways, the judging will be, they hold their own judging. It's all secret and all that, and then they notify who gets first, second, and third of each category. And then they have to arrange transportation for all the winners and to be down at the presentation in October. It's going to be, the presentation's going to be on October 18th.
Okay.
So we got a little ways to wait.
Little waiting period of time. What an exciting thing, Mel. God, that must be fun for you.
Yeah, it was kind of neat getting that phone call today.
Yes, I bet. Those are things you don't forget soon, huh?
Hey,
I don't
Doc.
know. I'm going to go to sleep between now and then. You might just might.
Maybe. All right.
Whatever.
Doc.
Go ahead, Lance.
Well, I was just going to mention it. A week from Saturday is when the big fundraiser that I'm working on for the Safari Club International. I just kind of completed my carved gift certificate that I showed on Google Plus, but I've also followed with what you had suggested, and they do have a big regional rep that's going to be there. So I'm doing a wooden plate. And it's going to be a copy of the latest cover of the SCI Safari magazine.
Good.
We're going to give him.
Oh, damn. That's perfect, Lance. Oh, God.
We'll see how that
Oh,
goes, and then
see,
there's
that's-
another banquet that I might be able to get in on in July for another chapter. So we'll see. I'll hit it. I'm thinking that might be a good magazine to get seen in.
And I have to stop and give Craig Holm the credit for that very first time when he copied that magazine cover for that one publication that he got so much publicity for. It was just the most brilliant thing I think I have ever seen. He and Ken Brown and some of them playing with us are so good at those kind of concepts. But then when you move them over into the marketing of what you're doing, I don't care if it's a carved copy of a magazine or a new bat. Somebody's done an elegant baseball bat for some coach or commemoratives or my crystal pieces, my 5 crystal pieces went to the very top 5 people in China last Friday. They were presented, and I'm flying out with Pete, the guy who did the presenting on Sunday, and it just is so amazing how these connections, these fits, these connections are. They take a long time to finesse and put them into place, but don't get discouraged and don't back off. Just keep at it and keep at it and keep at it, because the truth is persistence is still the secret of all success. Nothing can touch it.
And you don't get to the end of the journey until you make the first step.
If you never get that first step in, the odds are definitely against you, aren't they?
Yep. Ed's got his hand up.
Ed, go for it.
Yeah, if you have a minute, can you call me after the show, please?
You bet, I can, Ed.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys. Take care. Stay out of trouble. Don't
Oh,
do
that's no
anything I wouldn't do.
That leaves
You
it
name
open.
it after Lance.
Yeah, blame it on Lance. He's got big shoulders. We'll let him take the load. Good night. Thank you for a great season. We'll catch up with you in the fall. Bye-bye.